still here with me, Gifty and Dopia. The show is The Pulse. I'm going to have another conversation in the studio, and this time it is a group identifying itself as the Krobo Patriot for Development. They say that Krobos are being unfairly treated, and they refer to appointment issues emerging from appointment of Otiko Jaba Boachejako. In fact, they also refer to the appointment of Setekpe in the previous administration, and they say that every time the people from that area, from where they represent, are appointed, they tend to face more issues than any other person. I've got in the studio with me Michael Amano Okra and Evelyn Teko Aseni, who are leaders of the group. You're welcome, lady and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, now you're saying that you've got issues with how or the issues that have risen from Otiko Jaba's vetting and Boachejako's vetting, but these are legitimate issues. Won't you say that these are legitimate issues? Otiko Jaba, for instance, has not done her national service, and she has said that she has not done the national service. Don't you think these are legitimate issues?
Yeah, thank you, my sister. Yeah, we are here in the name of a group known as Krobo Patriot for Development, and I'm the convener of the group. And we are here to register our displeasure about the happening in the vetting or the nomination and the vetting of our sisters and brothers to cite Otiko Jaba and Boachejako. Yeah, we are saying that it is obvious or well known that Krobo and the Dangbe area is noted for voting for NDC for years. But we have studied over the years that whenever a Krobo man is being nominated or is being raised to a status politically, it happened that the NDC or the PNDC have to stress on that person, trying to kick against the person, and they would like to push the person out, even though they claim they love Krobos. But it has not been the issue.
But are you? This is you're generalizing.
Yes.
Yeah. Why are you generalizing? Because you might be wrong, and a lot of people tell you that you are wrong because there are legitimate concerns that have been raised, not that someone is just victimizing them.
Yeah, let me give you a historical incident that happened.
Okay, I will come back to you to get the historical bit, but we need to go over to Parliament. Our parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku Gakpo is standing by. You do know that today we're expected to have a report from the vetting committee concerning Madam Otiko Jaba's appointment and whether or not she will be approved at all. Joseph, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. It's been a while. Well, tell us what's become of the report about Madam Otiko Jaba.
So we are still waiting for the motion to be moved on the floor to allow for a vote on whether or not the House would approve her nomination. It's one of the items that has been captured on the order paper as part of the business that the House will be undertaking today. Earlier in the day, they sat and adjourned. The earlier sitting saw some members of Parliament deliver statements relating to traffic situation and a few other things. And then they adjourned because as at the time that sitting was ongoing, members of the appointment committee were locked up in one of the vetting procedures. That vetting session ended a little over an hour ago, and so they are all back in the House now. Right now, there is a fourth report of the appointment committee that has been laid and is being debated for approval. And those who are on the list awaiting that specific approval include Eslo Usu, Joseph Ada, Christian Mwakwata, Christio Furiesiama, Professor Frimpong Boating, and Joe Gatti. So the approval will be given for them any moment from now.
I'm sorry, I'll have you go over the names again.
So the fourth report of the appointment committee is recommending that the House approves the following persons by consensus. Esla Owusu Akufo, Minister Designate for Communications; Joseph Kofiada, Minister Designate for Sanitation and Water Resources; Kwesi Amwakon Atta, who is the Minister Designate for Roads and Highways; Kweku Oforiesiama, who is the Minister Designate for Transport; Professor Frimpong Boating, who is the Minister Designate for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation; and then Joe Gatti, who is the Minister Designate for Railways Development. A while ago, Vice Chairman of the Appointment Committee, Sarah Joasafo, laid this particular report recommending for the approval before the House. The discussion is ongoing on them. Any moment from now, the Speaker will put out the motion so that then these six persons will be approved as ministers. When that is done, then the next item that they would be looking at will be to vote on whether or not the House is going to approve Otiko Afisa-Jaba as Minister Designate for Gender, Children and Social Protection.
Okay,
so we're still waiting for that.
So this voting process is supposed to be, because we know the argument about having the MPP having majority in Parliament and the ability of that majority to push Otiko Jaba through. But you say that there's going to be a voting on whether or not she should be approved. Now, make me understand that. Is it that...
Okay.
Yes. Is it that she's going to be pushed through by the majority, or there's going to be... Explain that to me, please.
Okay, and so per the procedures of the House, when an issue comes up for approval, the Speaker puts out what is called a motion stating the specific issue, and then there is a voice vote. So those who support it are supposed to shout yes, while those who don't support it are supposed to shout no. When those who shout yes are louder than those who shout no, then the assumption is that the House has generally approved it. But when there isn't consensus on the issue, then the Speaker puts the motion and calls on the clerk of the House to come up and conduct a secret voting where each member of Parliament is supposed to vote yes or no in order to allow for approval of that particular motion or otherwise. That's what would happen in Otiko Afisa-Jaba's case. What we know is that the majority that has the majority here in the House with about 169 members are in support of the motion for her approval, while the minority are against it. So the voting will be done. One other thing that is required is that they should have more than 50% of members of Parliament on the floor of the House at that point in time before the motion can be put. And so right now I can tell you that the House is almost full. A lot of the members are present on the floor. And so once that hurdle has been cleared, then the motion will be put, the secret voting will be done, and then the counting will be done. All she needs is a simple majority. When more than 50% of the total number of MPs vote yes to say that they are approving her, then she would be approved by the House. And so if both sides vote according to whether you are with the majority or the minority, then it's very likely that her nomination will be approved, despite the opposition by the minority side of the House.
You did mention the 50% representation that has to be in Parliament before this voting process can go on. And we saw what happened the last time when there weren't enough minority members on the floor to complement the presence of the majority members. So do you get the sense that the minority will walk out at the point where they have to go through this voting process?
Yes, so then the hitch, which did not allow the majority to really push through this, was that, the majority has almost 60% in terms of the numbers on the floor. But on Friday, from what we've come to understand, the numbers that were available, some of the minority members were not around. And so the total number of majority members, wasn't more than 50%. But right now, the indication is that they have almost all their 60% majority here in Parliament at the moment. And so the indication is that they have the more than 50%, which procedurally would allow for this vote to go ahead. And so the indication is that even if the minority decides to walk out today, like a lot of them did on Friday, the majority will still have enough numbers to form a quorum to allow for the voting to take place, which will then allow for them to give the green light for Otiko Afisa-Jaba to become minister. Okay,
Gakpo, thank you very much. We'll come back to you when there's any further development within the period that we're here. Joseph Opoku Gakpo is our parliamentary correspondent. And so you've heard what our parliamentary correspondent is saying. Chances are that the candidates whom you're agitating for may just be pushed through by the majority in Parliament.
Yeah, so even if this news is coming this time when we are here, it has not given us the conviction that they have willingly approved her. So we are also saying that from the records that we have, the evidence we have, Otiko Jaba's father, the late Henry Jaba, his father was sent to exile because of the late PNDC. PNDC chased him and he went on exile. Now let's look at Wachi Ajakun. He was also heckled issues were fabricated against him.
Wachajako was not heckled per se. He made comments, and then the committee asked him to retract, and he said he stood by it. They said, okay, provide evidence. After that, there were issues about bribery that came up, and so.
Yeah, so that is another instance, another Krobo
You
man.
think it is victimization?
Another Krobo man.
You think it is deliberate?
Yes, deliberate.
By who?
Yes, no, by the NDC, because you look at the NDC people, their actions and the way they pose questions and the way they stress their issues.
They are doing their job.
Yes, it is their job, but you look at the Krobos, the way they are tackling them. Look at Tesekwe, a typical NDC man, finance minister, of course. Alote Jacob called him the devil within the NDC, the demon within the NDC. So he's the Judas.
When did he call him that?
Oh, it was a year ago.
I haven't heard that.
Oh, beside Alote Jacob, Kwekwe Anyidoho also made that allegation that he should be sacked, Setekpe should be fired. So he's destroying the NDC.
So what's the concern?
So we are worried that Krobos are not being treated fairly. We are not being treated fairly because Krobos vote for NDC.
But you just mentioned that even with Setekpe, who is an NDC man, he was still, you claim that he was still not treated fairly.
Yes.
So it can't be an NDC and PP thing, can it?
Yeah, so you see that one happened even within the party. The person happened to be your fellow member coming from the Krobo land. And so for Krobo man coming to hold that position, they think it's not fair that the Krobo man should be there. So we are also saying that looking at the happening, it is a deliberate something that, for instance, there is another issue even going on now, that the Bank of Ghana, they were supposed to have given a Krobo man the governor, and it was given to another different man. You see, so there have been 4 different instances. That is showing that clearly the NDC is deceiving Krobos, and as we are talking here now, there are a lot of Krobos downstairs waiting that if Krobo man or Krobo woman comes to vetting and they are not allowed or they are not being treated fairly, they will also not allow. Either we march from Krobo land, we come to Accra and tell them that no, these are the only people the government of MPP have chosen to work for us.
So you are prepared to go on a demonstration?
We'll walk from Somania to Accra.
I see. I'll come back to you about walking from Somania to Accra, and I'll try and engage you, Madam Teko Esine. But let me just play for you some of the issues or some of the moments of Madam Otiko Jaba's vetting, and then what the minority had to say about the reason why they do not support her approval as substantive minister. Watch this.
I spoke from my convictions. The former president, John Dramani Mahama. I made the statements that I made as a wake-up call for him. We are building a nation. He was running for re-election, and I felt that the people who should tell him as it is were not telling him as it was. I wasn't banned from Metro. They decided that because he was my brother, they did not want me to speak. And when I talked about him being an embarrassment, I spoke in relation to Sada. Sada is very dear to my heart. My mother is a Northerner. The incidence of poverty is highest in the 3 northern regions. And for a president who comes from the north, who promised to alleviate poverty, what happened to the guinea fowls? It was an embarrassment to me and to the north. The chiefs of the north actually made that statement. And so I don't owe him or you any apology. We are developing and building a nation.
As it means, I would have thought that the majority leader, with his weight and very romantic about the rules, would have known that the appropriate thing is to go through the letter and spirit of Standing Order 109 and subject the outstanding nominee to the rules of voting. And if they so wish, by majoritarian rule, which itself, Mr. Speaker, as you taught us, can encourage mobocracy, mob rule. We have the majority. But Mr. Speaker, to say that The rules of this house are known. We are unable to build consensus. There's only one irresistible conclusion: for them to subject the minister designate for women, gender, and children to vote. And I think that is why cooperation can be good. That is why building consensus can be productive. If the majority leader is convinced, but I know him, and Mr. Speaker, I've had cause to say that if Parliament and his rules were a woman, he will break his vow on monogamy to insist that the right is done because he's committed to the institutional building of Parliament.
That is Minority Leader in Parliament, Haruna Idrisu there, and he was talking about the reasons reasons why they cannot allow the approval of Madam Otiko Jaba. And you've heard Otiko Jaba speak herself. She was given an opportunity to apologize. And some people have said that, well, if she had just apologized and let it go, all of these wouldn't have happened. Why are you blaming other people for someone else's problems?
No, I think she has a reason for saying that. And because she has a reason, she has a genuine reason for saying that. Maybe that's why she's not willing to apologize.
I see. But you say you're going to march from Somanya to Accra.
Yeah.
Now, there are chances that she will be approved, even if the minority doesn't like it, because the majority has got the numbers that they can't vote to approve her. Will you still march, and will your march will still be necessary?
Well, what we want is she being approved.
So once she's approved,
because
you're fine.
You see, when you look at the Kroboland, this is the first time we are going to have a woman minister from Kroboland. When you look at the various assemblies, I'm an assemblywoman for Yilo Krobo. We only have 2 women at the assembly. When you go to Manya, they don't even have one. So this Krobo woman, if she's giving the nod, I think it will encourage the young ones that are coming. They also feel that they can be somewhere in the near future. But if we are being denied, that one will hit the streets.
You hit the street,
yes.
But the chances are that she's going to be approved.
What we want
then
is she being approved. If she's being approved, we don't have a problem.
I see. Your final words will be?
We are saying that we are pleading with both parties, NDC and PP. But you look at the thing coming from the NDC side. They are doing that into Krobos, and we are not happy about it.
Okay.
And Krobos are not being treated because from time immemorial, 92 to date, Krobos have been voting consistently for the party. They win the majority from us. It was only this year, because of some of these things, they lost one of their seats in Kroboland.
I see.
The Upper Manya seat. And this should send a signal to them.
Okay.
We are not a political group coming to advocate any political view. We
just
are
want
saying
fairness
that
for the
Otiko
people
Jaba
of
father
Krobo.
comes from Krobo. We believe in paternal inheritance. Otiko Jaba is our blood. And so therefore, we will not sit down for NDC to deceive Krobos, vote for them and they kick us out. We are not going to allow that.
I see. Yes. It obviously looks like your candidate is going to go through. Boache Jako has gone through. Setekbe has served his time, and he has done what he can to serve Mother Ghana. Well, now that our parliamentary correspondent has confirmed that the chances are very high for her, then I believe that you wouldn't need to march from Somanya to Accra. Thank you very much for passing through, Michael Amano Okra, and she's a member of the assembly in Somanya, in Yilo Krobo, a member of the assembly in Yilo Krobo. Evelyn Teko Asine, her point really is that there are a lot of young women in Yilo Krobo who would be encouraged, who will be inspired should a woman who has got lineage there be in government. So they hope that Otiko Jaba will be approved. You're still here with me, Gifty and Dopia. The show is The Pulse. Now, visual impairment is a major source of morbidity in the world, with close to 300 million people living with one form or another. About 80 to 90% of this number, however, are people living in low-income earning communities in developing countries, including Ghana. Well, in the second part of our special feature from the village nicknamed Disabled Land, where Joy News' Komla Adum report, over 50 inhabitants are suffering visual impairments, with some more completely blind. Medical experts believe that those whose condition are not hopeless as yet can get their condition managed, while others who are just reporting with early symptoms can be identified and given some special attention through medical outreaches.
The intriguing story about these people here in Karni is one which is laced with a lot of mystery. As we take the dusty road that leads to the village, I notice the scant presence of human existence. 8 years ago, 28-year-old Hamza lost his sight after he was hit by a football one afternoon. He recounts how that incident has left him permanently visually impaired.
I wasn't born like this.
What happened to you?
Yes, I think it was one day around 5 o'clock. I was at home. Then we went to play football. Sometimes you need to exercise yourself. Then we just moved. When I was in the distance on the field playing, I crashed with a friend, and then the ball hit my eyes, and that is where this problem came in. And when I moved to the distance, I went to the distance, visited the hospital. I think the specialist told me that there has been something like this in a glaucoma in my side before, and that is where the problem. So when I received this, the excessive pressure on the eyes, then it gets ripped in, and then this visual impairment came in. That will help me to have some small sight for some time. As of now, I can see you, but I can't identify. That is the only thing.
Married with an 8-year-old son, Hamza is in his second year at the University of Education. But there is no void created in the garden. His wife manages his portion of the garden in his absence. He's been able to cater for his family with the small revenue generated from vegetable sale.
I've been a farmer and a student as well until I had this problem. So anytime at all I return from school, I try to work on the land, like to plow the land, to cultivate some crops, so that I will, after cultivating it, I think it is the weeding that matters a lot. When I weed it with my wife, I will travel back to the school, then leave the harvesting for her. And by his grace, I think things are always in order. If I even get a bag of corn, or even some let me say half bag of corn and a half bag of beans, I think the two of us with the small child, sometimes it helps to some extent.
However, his condition is making education a pain, especially with the kind of treatment he receives from people. Hamza, very vocal, tells of his tertiary education struggles.
Whenever I start my journey, the prayer is the key. God knows best. And from Karni here, I moved to Wa. When I moved to Wa, I will alight at the PTR, then I will ask someone to help me to the lower station. Then I'll pick another I'll border another means to Kumasi. Okay. And from Kumasi, there's no straight means from Wa to Winneba. When I get to Kumasi, then I'll get another means to Mankasim. The moment I alight, I have to look for a taxi, charter a taxi. If not 150, by 20 cedis.
But how easy or difficult has it been for you all these years?
It has been difficult sometimes because the financial problem and create burdens, or may I say barriers sometimes.
Okay.
If I don't have the money to afford the taxi, I have to move to the lower side, the roadside, and then probably be there and continue to stop me until I get somebody that will help me to that place. Yes. Sometimes some people see it necessary that with the condition they must, assist you.
An area of urgent help the people of Karni require is undoubtedly the establishment of an eye clinic and the improvement of general health care here. Madame Elizabeth is a medical assistant at the health facility in the community. She tells me the facility does not have an eye center to cater for the needs of the over 50 persons who live with one form of eye defect or another.
We don't have eye clinic here. Okay. And with the health insurance, we only take care of conjunctivitis, when the
people with discharges. But if we see that the condition needs much attention, we refer the person to Jirapa. They have an eye clinic where they can check them.
She also laments further healthcare challenges the community faces.
The space is a problem. The space is a problem. Like if you will get maybe about 2 people that you want to detain and observe, you can't do it because it's only 1 bed.
So the space is one, and then also when the space is provided, then there has to be beds too.
If the space is provided, maybe, and we get the beds to about 2, we can add it to the 1, and the other one self, the way it is very low. Some of us bending down, you have to sit, or you call for assistance.
Some watchers have blamed the absence of an eye clinic in the community for the worsening situation, where many more people are getting visually impaired with each passing month. This position is rightly corroborated by Assembly Member of the area, Mr. Kabiri Luanga, who is of the view some of the visual impairments could have been avoided with prompt medical attention.
Eye is very delicate. Maybe, but if you have a problem with your eye, instead of you going to the clinic because you don't have, somebody will tell you go into the bush and get some other things for you to use. So by the end of the day, your poverty will send you to that place.
However, resident in ophthalmology at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Vera Boyo, gives an indication of the severity of the matter and how many of us are exposed to some of these conditions inadvertently.
Visual impairment or blindness is a major source of morbidity in our world, with about close to 300 million visually impaired worldwide. Unfortunately, 90% of these visually impaired live in developing countries or low-income areas. There are several causes. Commonest in our part of the world is cataract. Now, the eye is a very specialized organ which transmits light waves from images through various mediums to the optic nerve, which interprets these images, and that's what helps us to see. Now, if there's any defect in any of these mediums, so the anterior part of the eye, the glassy parts that we see, that is supposed to be transparent, we have the cornea. Behind that is what we call the lens. If you have any defects in these, or the back of the eye, which is the retina or the nerve itself, then you will have, you'll be visually impaired or go blind. With cataracts, you have clouding or whitening of the lens, and the lens is in between. It helps bend the light waves onto the back of the eye, which goes to the optic nerve, which is supposed to interpret the images for you. So if you have this whitening of the lens, it means that images cannot be transmitted and you can't see the images properly. And cataract is very common in our part of the world. Then we also have glaucoma, which is also not very common, but it's present, and it's a even though it cannot be cured, it can be treated. Then we have other causes like complications of diabetes. Now we are seeing a lot of cases of diabetes emerging in our parts of the world, even though previously it was thought to be more common in the Western world. But diabetes is creeping up in our society, and you can have complications in the eye from diabetes.
One study estimates that measles causes up to 60,000 cases of blindness a year globally, with poor access to measles vaccination and malnutrition often correlating with high rates of blindness in the most affected countries, including Africa. It is believed that some of the conditions among residents here could have resulted from measles and other chronic diseases. To salvage what is left of the Karni community at this point, Dr. Boyo prescribes regular medical outreaches.
We also have problems with the anterior most, the glassy part I mentioned earlier, which is the cornea. If you have anything that causes whitening of that aspect as well, then you can have blindness. So infections, injuries, if you have any immune conditions can all cause opacities or whitening of the cornea. Then we also have the infectious causes such as trachoma, and then we have onchocerciasis. The incidence and prevalence of these two have reduced, but they are still within our communities. Trachoma is more related to sanitation, so house flies carrying the organism and transmitting. And then in the case of onchocerciasis, it's acquired once an individual is bitten by a fly known as the Simoleon black fly. And these flies harbor some parasites known as the Onchocerca volvulus. Now when they bite an individual, it gets into the bloodstream, causes some reactions.
Well, an NGO which looks to adopt this disabled community in the remote part of the Upper West region has been extending some help to the about 400 physically challenged persons there in the final part of this special feature, which we'll tell you about very soon. And it was done by Komla Adom. Now we can go over to Parliament, where the Otiko Jaba debate is on the floor of Parliament. It promises to be an exciting one. There you have the minority leader in Parliament, Harun Idrisu, speaking and making this point. We'll be speaking to our parliamentary correspondent. We can listen to him now, by the way.
I've just referred to Article 94 2G. Mr. Speaker, whilst I respect your ruling on matter of law, I will insist on what is right and appropriate. Let me just read Article 94 for you.
Order. The Honourable Minority Leader is reading.
Mr. Speaker, the Majority Leader is stampeding you to put a question on an illegality.
Honourable Minority Leader.
We will not be associated with that illegality. No.
Honourable Minority Leader, you have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Exactly.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, 94 2G and is on a person shall not be qualified to be a member of Parliament. And you know, by extension, to be Minister of State, you must qualify to be Member of Parliament. Then it goes further in that reading to say, is otherwise disqualified by law in force at the time of the coming into force of the Constitution, not being inconsistent with the provision of this Constitution. So the arguments we raised in respect of the matter to which he is inviting you to proceed, by our view, we will not support that illegality. And therefore, he should not be surprised. He should not be surprised. It is illegal.
Order.
It does not demonstrate respect for the laws of this country, and we stand by it today. Whether or not you rule and they proceed, we are just drawing this House attention that this House, in the conduct of its business, must be seen demonstrating respect to the provisions of the Constitution and other laws in force before the coming of this Constitution, which includes the National Service Law. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Honourable Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, for the record, just like the current minority did in the case of the Honourable Otibles and procured a waiver for him, same thing has been done by Otiko Afisa Jaba. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, so what is invoking is neither here nor there. Mr. Speaker, it was a complete abuse of our process. He is a lawyer. You go to court, finish your submissions, the judge closes the case for a ruling to be made. And then you say that I remember something. What is that? What is that? Mr. Speaker, you should not be entertained. Mr. Speaker, can you put the question? Let's move on. That is what we got to. Mr. Speaker, if I may remind that the question be put in respect of Ms. Otiko Efisa-Jaba as Minister Designate for Gender, Children and Social Security. That is the item captured as 6. It's a motion on the order paper, page 2. Mr. Speaker, that is where we are. So your ruling, and then, Mr. Speaker, the voting.
Order.
That is all that is left to be done.
Honorable members, order. We've had a long debate on this simple matter. At the last sitting of this honorable House, the debate was clearly ended, and the matter left was to vote. We shall continue from where we ended. Honorable members, order. In the circumstances, the procedure provided in Standing Order 172 be followed. Clerk to Parliament, please ensure that each member is provided with a ballot paper containing the name of the candidate under consideration for honorable members to record their votes in accordance with Standing Order 172, sub 5. Honorable members, order, honorable members, order. Honorable members may respectfully remain in their seats for now. Order. Honorable members, having indicated your vote, may I invite honorable members to deposit their ballot papers at the dispatch box in an orderly manner, starting with the majority caucus to be followed by the minority caucus. All honorable members will please remain seated. We are now at the voting stage. Order. 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 All honorable members, we are now at the voting stage. Every member will remain seated. And the dispatch box will have in them the relevant ballot papers starting from the majority caucus. At this stage, that is the responsibility of the clerk. And the clerk is in charge of this process. Are you finished? Order. You may now start casting your ballot, starting from the majority. remain seated for the time being will resolve and proceed. Honorable members will remain seated for the time being.
This is coming to you. These are pictures coming to you live from Parliament, where there's supposed to be a vote cast on the head of Otiko Jaba, whether or not she should be approved as substantive Minister of Children, Gender and Social Protection. She has gone through the vetting, but there have been some issues. And as I said earlier on, we'll be engaging our parliamentary correspondent, Joseph Opoku Gakpo, who can explain to us exactly what is happening. It appears that there's been a little bit of a confusion on the floor of Parliament. Hello, Joseph, can you hear me?
Yes, Gifty, I can hear you.
Right now, all we hear the speaker say is order, and he's kept repeating it for some time now. Explain to us exactly what is happening.
And so a while ago, the Speaker put the question in relating to whether the House would want to approve Otiko Jaba or otherwise. Even before that, there was a little controversy. Harun Idrisu, who is the minority leader, was on a tweet, and he quoted portions of the Constitution to make the point that when it comes to Otiko Jaba's approval as a Minister of State, there is a national service law which should be respected, and that there is some form of illegality with the efforts to push her nomination through. When he was making that point, the majority leader, Oseiche Mensah Bonsu, rose up on what they call a point of order, making the point that this is not something that the minority leader should be saying, because when it comes to a debate on whether or not they should approve her, this debate ended last week Friday, and that today, what is on the other paper that should be done is just about the Speaker raising the issue and members voting whether they would want to approve her or otherwise. There was a little back and forth with that. Eventually, the approval was given. The Speaker ruled that they should go ahead and give, and do the voting. And so he quoted portions of the standing orders of Parliament to say that when there is a disagreement on any issue, members may go ahead and cast a vote by secret ballot. And so he asked the clerk of Parliament and other staff to take over and supervise the said voting process. So that is what is ongoing on the floor. The clerk and his staff, got ballot papers and got them distributed to all the members on the floor of the House. They are supposed to write on it whether, their position is a yes or a no when it comes to approving Otiko Jaba. And so the clerk of Parliament and his team were going around and handing over the ballot papers to all the members. What again was clear was that at the point in time when the conversation started around Otiko Jaba's issue, a lot of the minority members walked out of the House. The suspicion being that there was an attempt to, create a situation where there won't be enough quorum to allow for this voting to take place. But looks like they were overwhelmed by the majority numbers, and so the vote was allowed to actually go on. The Speaker is speaking to the members as I speak to you, Gissy.
Is that it? The noise is over?
The noise is over, and the Speaker has a message that he's delivering to members of the House. He's giving further direction on how the voting process should go.
Okay. We can listen to him now. If you can hear me, it appears we missed what he just said. What exactly is the direction that he wants the voting to go?
As I speak to you, the voting itself has ended. Virtually all the members who are present on the floor were handed the ballot papers to go ahead and vote yes or no. A lot of them are done. What we are waiting for would be for the specific ballot papers to be collected from each of the individual members, and that's what the Speaker was asking all the members of Parliament to ensure that there is some order and to hold on and wait while the collection of the papers from the various members of Parliament take place. A while ago, there was another interesting bit. Members on the minority side were shouting and raising concerns. They were making the point that they did not have stamps. They did not have stamps on the ballot papers that had been handed over to them. And so they were concerned that if they go ahead and cast their vote on those ballot papers and the sorting out and the counting is being done, their suspicion being that
it will be a rejected ballot.
Some of them, yes, may be disenfranchised because there wasn't, any form of stamp on it. But just when they were raising the issues, the majority side as well were seeking to point out that even when it comes to their own papers, ballot papers that have been handed over to them, they also did not have stamps on it. And so there is no difference between the kind of ballot papers that the minority members have and also what the majority members have. And so that wasn't exactly a very strong argument that they should be making. And so they have all taken their seats back. They are all just still waiting for the clerk and his team to go ahead and collect the ballot papers and go ahead and do the sorting out and do the necessary counting. It looks like the minority leader appears to have some concerns. He's raising up
and he keeps there seems to be an exchange between himself and the minority leader. The minority leader at this moment is up and he's holding up his ballot, I believe. What's really going on there? Is it one of the things that they do for the cameras? Or are there genuine issues that have been raised? It's
still an issue with the stamp, which he says is non-existent on this particular document. And he thinks that that is a requirement, that the stamp should be there in order to make the document in question valid. He keeps rising to his feet, trying to catch the speaker's attention.
And he's up on his feet again.
Exactly, except that the speaker hasn't given him the green light, and so he's not exactly speaking on the floor,
Well, he's speaking on the floor. Well, technically he's not speaking, but physically he's speaking.
So the point that they're making, the point that the minority members are making is no stamp, no votes. That's the emphasis that they are making, that unless they see stamps on the documents, they won't vote. But the majority leader has been given a chance to speak. He's on the floor of the House.
Okay. We need to listen to him now.
Expressions to make about.
They cannot be accommodated by our procedures once the debate has closed. And yet he's insisting that there is something wrong with the procedure. Hello? The Speaker, even though ordinarily he should not be heard, let's grant him a window. Mr. Speaker, respectfully, so that tomorrow he will not tell us that we have done the wrong thing. Let's listen to him. Mr. Speaker, respectfully, let's listen to him.
Honorable members, the only matter before us now is the matter of the vote. I will soon explain to honorable members the simple hitch that has occurred. I hold in my hand a sealed copy of what I signed earlier. In making the photocopy, the ordinary seal of the speaker was not clear against the white background. Honorable members, I'm showing respect to the House and you will listen to me because of this clear explanation. In the circumstances, I have asked that my seal, which is here for everybody who cares to see, which cannot easily appear on a photocopy in the circumstances, is being printed back on a green background. You'll have it and we'll conclude the process. I thank you.
Well, this is coming to you live from Parliament House, where there's supposed to be a voting process. The voting process is being stalled at this moment due to some technical issues. Of course, the Minority Leader Harun Idrisu had been on his feet protesting that the papers, the ballot papers that they have, did not have a seal. The Speaker has explained that there was an omission during the photocopying process, and that is being resolved. So as it stands now, we're going to have to wait until the issue of the stamp and the seal is resolved so that the voting process can go on. It obviously has to do with the issues arising from Otiko Jaba's appointments. Now, we don't know what's happening right now. We see papers going up. Joseph, are you still on the line with me?
Yes, Gifty, I'm here.
Okay, explain to us what's happening, please.
Exactly. So the Speaker has been explaining that with the concern that the minority members are raising about the absence of a stamp or a seal on the ballot papers, it's not so much of a legitimate concern, because he insists that the seal is actually there, but it was stamped as a white seal on a white background, which is how come it's not very much visible. And so he has indicated to the members that what they are trying to do is to get the ballot papers reprinted, and that this time around the seal will be a green seal, so that then it will be more evidence that you know, there's this stamp, you know, from the Speaker, you know, from the Speaker's office, which is actually present.
Now we see the Minority
papers,
Leader walking
so
out. Is that a walkout, or is he going to sort things out with the ballot paper?
Well, it's not looking very clear at the moment as to how things are looking. There's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of back and forth in the House as I speak to you. The Minority Leader, Harun Idrisu, is still somewhere here in the House at the moment. Well, it looks like he's and he's exactly the case. He's actually walked out of the chamber.
Yes.
You could hold on, Gifty. I'm working out myself to see if I could get a word or two from him.
Okay, that would be fantastic.
So you can take over as I attempt to do that. Gifty.
Okay, right. So Joseph Opoku Gakpo there, you hear him panting. You could tell that he's trying to reach out to the Minority Leader who has just walked out of the House. We don't know the reason why he's walked out of the House, because we do know that the concerns that he raised about the ballot paper not being sealed are being addressed. And indeed, the Speaker of Parliament says that he explains and says there was a problem with the seal. The seal was white and it was put on a white paper, and so it's not very visible. What he says, by the way, is that there's going to be another seal which is green, and so that should be more visible on a white paper. As we wait for that to be done, we've seen the Minority Leader walk out. It appears that he's come back. He's come back still complaining, holding up his paper. The Majority Leader also stood up briefly. He's back on the seat now. Everybody is seated. Perhaps this is a time where we can go back into Parliament. Well, Gakpo won't be able to make it to meet the Harun Idrisu, because Harun Idrisu already has taken his seat back on the floor of Parliament. But this is really all about Otiko Jaba. We do know that about 6 other people who were also vetted today, vetted previously, have today been approved. We're talking about Esla Owuswe Kufo, Joseph Kofi Ada, Kwesi Amwako Ata, Kweku Siama, Professor Frimpong Boateng, and Joe Garte. So these 6 people have all been approved. Only woman standing, I would say, is Otiko Jaba, whose approval has been a matter of controversy. At the moment, we're waiting for Parliament to vote, and then hopefully she will pass through, or whatever it is that comes up. Hello, Joseph. Are you good to talk at this moment?
Well, things are looking quite interesting at the moment. I've seen some of the members of Parliament around the chamber at the moment. Let me attempt a conversation with the Honorable Obi Amwa. He's a member of the Appointment Committee.
Right.
Honorable, could this have been avoided, all this, voting instead of a consensus approval, so that then things could have gone on smoothly?
Well, that could have been avoided. It should have also come along. But if they felt that they would not agree, this is the result of standing orders. It's very clear. 1725, that there's no decision and no consensus. We have to vote. So that's what we're waiting for.
make us understand earlier, the Speaker was talking about the absence of a clear seal on the document, which is how come the voting has to be done again. What exactly is the situation?
The voting doesn't have to be conducted again. That's the voting at all. What's happening is that once you're given the ballot, there should be the stamp, the Speaker, and the signature. Now, because it was photocopied, you can see the signature, but you can't see the stamp. So the Speaker has ordered that a new ballot paper should be made, but on a green background, so that you can see the signature and the stamp. So that's why we're waiting.
So that then looks like this may take a lot more hours before they eventually get the process completed.
That is up to the table for us to know. As soon as they are ready, we will vote.
So for you, the majority side, are you confident you really be able to push your Speaker Jabba through? Because the last time there was the issue of the quorum that was which the minority leader rightly raised again on the floor of the House a while ago.
Well, the most important thing is what the Constitution says. In such situation, the majority carries the day, but at least half of the members of Parliament should be present. If you look at the numbers now, there are more than half in Parliament. So we need to vote to ask whether the majority has carried the vote. It's a simple majority, so we are always.
Many thanks. That the Honorable Obi Amwa, he's a member of Parliament's Appointments Committee. He's also present here in Parliament House. He's been indicating to us how come we appear to have this particular situation and the unresolved issues with this voting. We're trying to speak to a lot more members of Parliament right here from outside the chamber, even as the Speaker prepares and the clerk and his officials prepare to hand over fresh ballot papers for members to really continue the voting. Antonia Beifa-Kabo is also a member of the Appointments Committee of Parliament. He's here with me. Kabo, this entire process on Otiko Jabba and then the back and forth and the concerns the minority are raising. What do you make of it?
Well, I think that the minority is just raising issues that are not very important. I mean, for instance, the fact that on the ballot papers that have been distributed to members, there is no stamp, whereas we have a signature of the Speaker on it.
Legitimate consent. So I'm looking at a copy of the third ballot paper.
It's basically administrative matter. That's why the Speaker has asked that, the clerk of Parliament should quickly get, another ballot that has a stamp, and yet the vote go on. So everybody's holding on to his vote. Those on the majority side are voting overwhelmingly. We are going to show our muscle. We are going to show that indeed the President's nominee of Minister Designated for Women and Children Affairs and Social Protection will have to go through. The issues that the minority are raising are non-issues. They are, behaving like ostriches. These people, on a few months back, passed another minister under bizarre circumstances.
What bless you referring to this?
And this is no near the crimes, quote unquote, of Otiko Afisa-Japa. And her has to do with the fact that she failed to withdraw a comment and apologize to His Excellency the President on a matter she believes so strongly affected her directly and the President as somebody of. And she made a critique. And I don't see how all of a sudden a critique is viewed in the eyes of the minority as an insult.
But the most substantive issue is about her not doing her national service. The minority leader has repeated is against the National Service Act, and so she should be allowed to become a minister.
But there's no part of the criteria that has been spelled out in the Constitution for people to aspire to become members of Parliament, where it indicates that one has to do national service. That same criteria, as spelled out in the 1992 Constitution, qualifies the President to appoint anybody to become a minister. So it raises a whole lot of issues. These are matters of the National Service Act and the National Constitution that haven't been reconciled. If they think it's an uncharted ground, they want to test it in court, they can do that after the vote. But that can be a matter the courts can deal with at another date, but not at this time when we in the majority are looking to form a government. His Excellency the President is working within a certain time frame. Ministers must be put in place so that government program can be pushed through the year as we prepare for our budget that is going to be read sometime in March.
So, Gifty, I'm going to round up the conversation with Anthony Abeifa Kabu in a while, but I've laid hands of the said ballot paper, which is creating the controversy. It's a simple paper. This is about the size of just about one third of, and there's a heading there written in block capitals, ballot paper, and then below that there is candidate, and then there is written Miss Otiko Afisa Jaba, and then there are two boxes there above, both of which are written Aye, as in AYE, and then the second box has NO, as in no, written on it. And then right below that, there is the stamp and initial of the Right Honorable Speaker, dated the 7th of February, 2017, and then it's signed by the Speaker. There's another signature on the back of it. This is the document that is really creating the controversy here in Parliament, and we're waiting for the fresh ballot papers to be brought in and then for the voting to be conducted. But Kabo, could the president just probably have stepped out on this particular nation and avoided this whole controversy, so that then at least he could carry the minority?
I don't think that maybe it is the minority which must stand down on the frivolous arguments that they are making. We don't think those arguments are any substantive. We believe that His Excellency the President has made a good choice. Otiko is the best, to fit the bill for this opportunity and this job. I think she'll do a great job as Ghana's women's minister in charge of children and social protection. I think she'll do a great job. And we cannot, on the basis of the argument of the minority, say that a brilliant and a fine brain like Madame Otiko shouldn't be given the opportunity to serve her country.
So that's a member of Parliament's Appointments Committee, Anthony Abeifa Kabo, speaking to us there on the issues. We're still trying to get some of the members of the majority side of the House to speak to us on this. This is a controversy that will linger on for a while longer. But even as we wait for members of the majority side, even as we wait for members of the minority side, I should say, a lot more members of the minority side are present here with us here on Joy News. In fact, the Honorable Dominic Nitiwul, he's a former deputy minority leader in the House. Let me just approach him for a brief conversation. And so, Honorable, does this help? Does this back and forth help for effective nation building and helping build on the democratic process?
It makes Parliament interesting. It makes democracy interesting. And we have the numbers, but we are not using our numbers to stampede the minority. So it's good for democracy. It's good for Ghana. It shows that we have a majority that is willing to get the voice of the minority heard. And I don't think that we should ask for more. We could have voted the last time or 2 days ago. We could have voted on Friday. We could have voted on Thursday when this matter was broken. But we decided to allow reason to prevail and allow the minority to have their say. Today we think that the minority will not back down. Once they won't back down, we have to vote. And I just think that they want to get their voices heard. They say the rules must be followed strictly. We will allow the rules to be followed strictly. That's why the Speaker said that he has stamped it. The ballot boxes that they give, he didn't stamp them individually, he stamped the big paper copies. And it's true. Look at the ballot boxes. They are not original things, they are photocopies. But if they think that they should still get a stamp again, we will do that and then we'll vote. That should not be a problem.
But could all of this have been avoided in any way? Concerns that the minority had raised actually started when she appeared before the vetting committee, and them insisting that the National Service Act, once she's not done her service, she shouldn't be allowed to become a minister. They hadn't secured a waiver for her. They were even demanding that the president should withdraw her nomination for that purpose. What do you think of that?
You see, we have never followed strictly as a nation the act that set up the National Service. Otherwise, 90% of us sitting there will not qualify to be a minister because you have to do 2 years national service. I don't know how many of the MPs who are even ministers or were even ministers couldn't have themselves do 2 years national service. They didn't. You have to do 6 months compulsory military service. Haruna, ask all of them, all those who became ministers, they never did that. So we should be careful that we do something and come back to something. The real truth of the matter is that media concerns, those concerns have been taken care of. That is the reason why the majority is taking steps to ensure that all what they are looking for, we correct it. It's not as if we don't have the number. We can get the number from both. Those sitting in the minority are well over the numbers that we need individually to cast that vote. But we are still allowing them to make sure that the right thing is done for all of us. But as for the matter of denying her the fact that she wants to be a minister, I think the president was set already. Otiko Bless got a waiver from the National Service. I think that waiver has been secured for her as well. So I don't think it should be a problem. She has actually gotten a waiver from the National Service.
Which board? You saw the board had been dissolved.
I'm saying that she got a waiver from the National. The same wording that we used for Otiko Bless. I was involved in the.
So, but the point is that this is a board that is non-existent, but their tenure actually expired. President John Mahama leaves office.
You see, the problem you assume is that the board is not in place. I have not asked the president. That's the first thing, to know whether the board is in place or the board is not in place. But I know that even the executive director who issues this waiver issues on behalf of the board. If the board comes and decides not to ratify it, then she's withdrawn or they take another step. Even if the boss is not there. I'm not aware. I don't know whether the boss is there or is not there, but I do know that the president is very meticulous to do their things in the right way. But what I'm saying is a waiver has been secured, and that's why we are carrying on what we are. The most important thing is you are looking for a waiver. It has been secured, and then we'll move on. If you want to go ask other questions, you can. But I am in the house here. I have not gone final. I don't know what has happened, but I know that the right steps were taken to secure the waiver. That has been done. That's why we are voting. And so the minority may have other reasons for refusing the vote. Because if they ask for a waiver and that waiver has come, that was the reason why they are refusing. You haven't heard them raise any issue about fraud there. They just refuse.
Hello, Gakpo, can you hear me?
Other than the national service. So it's not clear to all of us that their refusal has nothing to do with national service.
Okay.
So let's put that aside. Maybe if they have other reasons, they should let us know. Because they were waiting for a waiver. The waiver has come. Now they are raising issues of stamp. I don't know what they are looking for. Maybe we'll get to the real issue that they are looking for.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Nitiwo, can you hear me?
I think that they should clearly tell us what they are looking for, but not shift the goalpost. When you go to the west and then you score a goal, they say, no, it's not a goal, that's not where the goalpost is. You go to the east. Oh, no, the goalpost shouldn't have been there. You go to the west. Oh, no, it should be in the south. I think that's what the minority is. It's not good for democracy.
Many thanks for speaking to us here on joining. That's the Honorable Dominic Nitiwo.
Hello, Gakpo, can you hear me?
Hello, Gifty, I can hear
you.
Yes,
we followed all your conversations, but we're going to have to let you go briefly so that we can follow proceedings on the floor of Parliament, and as well, we need you elsewhere. You do know what I mean. But we'll be wrapping up with you, Gakpo, at this moment so that we can go onto the floor of Parliament to take what's happening. Also, we're standing by with Business Live, and every now and then when there's any development, we'll go over to Parliament. But at this point, though, Gakpo, we'll have to come back to you after a while. Is that okay?
Many thanks, Gifty.
Right. Thank you very much. Joseph Opoku Gakpo is our parliamentary correspondent, doing a sterling job in Parliament for us, bringing us all of those interviews. He's been speaking to Obi Amwa, Anthony Cabo, Dominic Nitiwo, and they are all members on the majority side, telling us what they think about what's happening. Of course, they don't agree with what the minority is doing. My name is Gifty Andopia. It has been the pause. We'll be wrapping up. Daryl Kwao is standing by with Business Live, but every now and then, when there's any developments on the floor of Parliament, as far as the voting process on Madam Otiko Jaba is concerned, we'll cross over to Parliament. For now, though, I'm out and Daryl Kwao is in.
So I'm going to start it. I'm going to say, rock on my
Abban Alexander Kojo Kum. Abban Alexander Kojo Kum. Abban Alexander Kojo Kum. Abdul Aziz Mohammed. Abdul Aziz Mohammed. Mion. Ablakwa Samuel Kujato. Norton.
Order.
Ablakwa Samuel Okujato.
Order. Honorable members, the public is watching. Let us go by our rules and regulations and properly as mature, honorable members of Parliament. Order.
Abuaji George Kwame. Abuaji George Kwame. Sene Akrosu Manson. Asene Akrosu Manson.
Order.
Abuaji Kwajo Nyampom Biakuye.
Please proceed.
Abuaji Jedu Kingsley. Bibiani Amiasu Bekwai.
Watch him.
Abuaji Daniel Ochem Bantama.
Give it to me, I'm here. Bantama. Yes. I'm monitoring. Party again.
Abuaji Kwajo Nyampom Biakuye.